Hi, everybody. Welcome to the She Rocks Awards virtual red carpet. I'm Lindsay Parker, and today I'm honored to chat with one of this year's She Rocks Awards honorees, Yvette Young, the virtuosic frontwoman and guitarist for the progressive math, art, alternative rock band Covet. I covet that hair situation you got going on right now. I understand you have a frog themed tour going on. We were talking a bit before this started, so that's what's inspiring the green right now.
Yeah, I figure why not just go all out. I also have this like green Ibanez Talman that I got specifically for this tour, so I'm just gonna be all green.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this interview because I know you're actually in the middle of kind of working out what this tour is going to be like. You're rehearsing right now. What can you
Hmm.
tell your fans about it? I bet they're real excited. I don't know how much touring you've done in the last, 2 years. So you must be very excited to do this.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. It's gonna be really special. We haven't really gone across the US and in Canada for like 2 years now, ever since the lockdown. So we've only done a few like short West Coast runs. I'm personally looking forward to playing a lot of uh, new music that we haven't even released yet on this tour, just to sneak preview it to people. And it's going to be really good seeing familiar faces. Um,
Absolutely.
Fingers crossed we can get through the whole tour safely without having
Yeah.
to stop it. So,
I know. Well, at least the She Rocks Awards are happening in person this time. Last year they were virtual for the obvious reasons. So, and then the one before that was right before everything happened. It was like January 2020. I was there and it was such a celebratory event. So I'm so excited that it's back in person this year and that
me
I'm going to
too.
be there and that you're going to be there. Congratulations on getting this award.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to flying out and being able to actually attend it too. I was worried I couldn't, but now we
Oh,
found it. It happened to line up with an off day on tour. So it's like in and out.
oh, so you're already going to be on tour when it happens.
Hmm.
Very
Excuse me if I arrive haggard and
I'm
just
it,
tired.
you do not look haggard to me whatsoever. Will you be performing at the awards or will you just be attending?
I'll be performing.
Awesome. That's so cool. So I'll get a chance to see you perform. So obviously this is a big deal. I'm excited that you're part of it. And there's all these other awesome artists like Dionne Warwick and Meredith Brooks and Carmen
Mhm.
Vanderberg involved. How does it feel? Like what's going through your mind when you found out that you were receiving this honor?
Everything feels kind of always surreal to me. I don't know. The way I started playing in a band and doing all this, I graduated as an art major and an education
Mm.
double major. So I was working as an art teacher before touring or anything, and music was just like a little bit of a side hobby for me, and I did it for fun. And it's just really surreal that it's at this point where I'm touring. I'm getting to play music for people over the world, and to have this award is also equally surreal. I'm in the craziest company. I checked out some of the other people who are being honored, and I just feel really grateful and lucky.
Well, since you have such an obviously unorthodox style of playing and tuning, but it seems like the way you gravitate towards the guitar or towards a career playing guitar was unorthodox. When did you realize this could be a real career for you? Because it sounds like at one time it was more like a hobby or a side thing as opposed to like what you do now.
Yeah, it was definitely kept me sane. Music has always been like a huge source of therapy for me. I actually got into guitar as just like a way to have a healthy outlet and everything. And I guess at some point I was having to hire substitutes and touring so frequently. I felt it was unfair to just always be leaving my class. So I was like, it's now or never. It's scary to take the plunge. But I was like, well, I'm just going to treat it like a 9 to 5 job then and invest time into it, and might as well give it a go when I'm younger, and we'll see what happens. Here, I'm
guess
still doing it.
guess it all worked out. But the guitar wasn't your first instrument, right? Weren't you playing either piano or violin when you were extremely young, like grade school age?
Yeah, I started when I was 4 on
Oh
piano and
wow.
7 on violin, and guitar was like after high school, like going to
Oh wow.
college, way
It
late in the
was
game.
I didn't realize it was that late. So, as I was mentioning, have kind of an unusual style of playing and unorthodox playing. Yourself taught, right? I imagine with piano and violin, you took like traditional lessons, but with guitar, you taught yourself, right?
Yeah, I think that's what was so liberating and special about guitar to me was I was stuck within the rigid academia of like the classical world and just
Mm,
kind of like I always had teachers and they're amazing. Like as a teacher myself, I don't want to discount the value of having a professional and someone who's like has expertise teaching you. But it was always really nerve wracking to me because I felt like I had to abide by all these rules and to do competitions. And I was just like a
mm.
perfectionist, super nervous all the time. And guitar was one of those things where I was like, I'm going to do this for myself for the first time ever. And at the time, I was struggling with some health stuff. And for me, it was like a really great way to feel in control of something, to have something for myself, and to help me fall back in love with all kinds of music. So it's always going to be like really sacred to me because I feel like in some ways I owe my self worth and I owe my confidence and I owe my health to it.
Wow. Well, I want to know, I'm so glad that you eventually did gravitate towards the guitar. And I want to know how you did come about with your real signature style play. I mean, Steve Vai named you on a list of like contemporary guitarists that are taking the instrument to the next level, which is a really big deal.
Surreal.
And yeah, and you have obviously his respect, the respect of so many peers. But I wonder if when you first started playing and not doing things in the more traditional way, like how, first of all, it's a two-part question. How did you come about that? And second, how was that initially received when you started playing?
So I guess I was always kind of an outsider to the guitar world. I started listening to a lot of like art rock punk bands, and I feel like the where I cut my teeth playing was like a bunch of house shows and a lot of people who kind of were already doing very different things on the instrument. I wouldn't say that I'm like particularly original in any way. I feel like if anything, I just like borrow things I love from every genre of music and find a way to, it's all from the passion for like writing, songwriting. So I feel like I started playing because I was like, okay, I love alternate tunings of like this band and I love the dynamics in this genre and I love the odd meter of like, you know, the prog world. And I'm going to try to find a way to like combine all these things that I'm personally really excited about listening to these bands growing up. And I'm going to try to find a way to make my own voice out of that. So
That's also, I think you're very original, but I'm curious.
oh.
Obviously, every musician, every artist borrows or takes inspiration from a little bit of here and a little bit of there. I mean, that music is like that. It builds upon the previous generations. Who were some of
Mhm.
these art rock and punk rock bands that inspired you to kind of hone your own craft?
I really looked up to bands like there's this Japanese band called Toe. I think they're incredible.
Mhm.
They're just really cohesive as a unit. And I was always fascinated with how they're able to accomplish that and still be virtuosic on their instruments. And there's a band, American Football. They
Mhm.
just really appealed to me because of the tunings and just like the style of guitar that they even play, like to the tones. I think I'm very inspired by all of the Midwest emo scene. Um, I really loved a lot of kind of like shoegazy bands like uh, I at the time Dive. I feel like they also are really inspiring to me. I looked
Dive
up
with two
to
two eyes.
yeah,
Yeah, they're great.
yeah. I looked up to so many bands because I was just like, that's so cool that they get to play music for people and also work together to create a soundscape. Um, so I always wanted to start a band. Actually, ended up having a garage band for a while when I was in college in Glendale. Played with a couple of friends, and that was just my first taste playing music with other people. And I'll never forget that feeling when you've written a song and it's like you're playing it together for the first time and it like works out. It's like magic.
How was your family supportive of this? Because I don't know much about your background, but I'm just going to guess that since you came from, you talked about classical training, piano, violin, perfectionism, competitions, that when you went in your own this direction, how was your family or your peers in that world? How did they react to you going in this less, less orthodox direction, less classical direction?
Um, I would say that it was culture shock to them because they're also immigrants. I'm like first generation. So they always first were like, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with you? You're like a star student and you're doing this like after you have a college degree. So I think they're like a bit worried at first. it's out of love. I get it.
Mhm.
And also they're like, oh, like you had a lot of potential as a classical piano player, but I never felt comfortable being put in a mold. I think I always just, for me, it was really liberating getting to discover an instrument for myself and teach myself and figure out why music moved me a certain way on my own
Mm.
terms. So I think nowadays they see that I'm, you know, doing a thing. I'm able to support myself and I'm able to continue doing this sustainably. So I think they're less worried and just proud to see. Also, a lot of Asian people, Asian girls end up coming to shows, and it's
Oh,
just
that's
like so
awesome.
cool because a lot of times I feel like, at least as an Asian female myself, I feel like I'm put in the category of like I have to be like a classical
Mm.
whatever, so it's cool to see people breaking down barriers and genres and people feeling more comfortable to come to these sorts of shows.
Do you have any good stories, endearing stories of young Asian women who have reached out to via, could be talking to you after a show, could be via social media, whatever, like saying you inspire them, maybe inspire them to pick up the guitar, that they felt, represented because, there aren't many women, let alone Asian women doing what you are doing.
Yeah, I think at every show, I try to talk to people if when I can, and I've had people, Asian women, come up to me and be like, "I am so encouraged seeing you up there, and it's cool to see someone who looks like me
Mhm.
doing something that is at just not common." So I'm hoping I'm really encouraged because I feel like representation is the key to like opening up spaces and making um, stereotypes less common, and making people feel comfortable doing their own thing and exploring their own voice. So I'm just happy to be up there, hopefully inspiring someone to pick up the instrument and maybe start their own band and write music, because it's been so therapeutic and transformative for me.
Was there anyone like that for you when you were coming up, when you were starting to play guitar, that was that kind of role model for you?
Um, I guess just let me think about that. It's funny because I'm aware like there's a lot of really amazing guitarists, like female guitarists, like my friend Gretchen Menn, Jennifer Batten, Neely Brush, like, but they're all people that I met later when I was just like, I feel like they were just really supportive and inspiring to me later in my journey. But when I started out, it was definitely all the bands I was seeing were like a total dude fest, and I was like, okay, I that's cool that they're doing that, but I bet like, I want to be able to do that one day. So I never really even thought about um, it being something that was particularly like exclusive to a certain
Right.
gender or group of people. All I saw was people having fun, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to be able to like make people smile in a crowd and make music with my friends. So yeah, I feel like everything kind of lined up the way it was meant to, and here I am today.
Well, as a person with a teacher background, like I know you do I believe you teach some kind of master course on guitar, which I would like to hear more about. But is it important now that you're in this position for you to mentor young guitarists or young musicians or impart your knowledge and life experience to, a younger generation of guitarists coming up? Tell me about the course. I'm interested in that.
Oh, I guess I've done a few courses through Jam Play. I do teach students remotely right now
Oh,
through the New York Jazz School, or the New School. I think that's what it's called. And I was supposed to fly out to Toronto or sorry, not Toronto. I was supposed to fly out to Vancouver to do this guitar course for Guitario, but I ended up having to postpone that because I
mm.
unfortunately contracted COVID like a couple weeks
Oh,
ago. So
I'm
yeah,
sorry to hear that. I assume
uh,
you seem better now, or,
yes, I am.
glad to hear that.
Yeah, it's definitely when I got it, it was debilitating enough so that I felt like I couldn't really fly. It wasn't safe to fly anyway. So
Mm.
that's gonna come after tour now.
Okay, I didn't realize that it was delayed. Sorry about that. But
Oh, it's okay.
the broader question about, how important is it to you, to sort of be a mentor, a teacher, and kind of like, take people under your wing. I don't know if there was anyone who was like that for you when you were beginning to do music.
Well, I guess the powerful thing I feel about being an educator in any way, what I really enjoyed, even when I was an art teacher, was the ability to kind of inspire people who don't know who they are yet to kind of seek an identity through the art that they create. Also, I was working with a lot of high school girls to try to make their portfolio for college. And it was great because at the same time, it's like this is a chance to kind of make a statement about who you are. You end up being able to help people who are struggling through whatever depression, like a rough family life, whatever, find an outlet for that that is healthy and productive and really empowering. So I get to watch someone who maybe feels like they aren't good at something take it up and then just totally fly with it. And it's just a really rewarding feeling. And I love doing that with, of course, guitar as well. And when I was growing up, I feel like just watching my friends do really well was really encouraging. I don't, because I was self-taught, I don't think I really had like a specific mentor. It was just, going around watching people play shows, be really curious, ask them about their gear, watch bands do cool tricks on stage and be like, oh, okay, I'm going to try to find a way to like do that as well. So it was just through experiencing shows, experiencing the local scene, and making friends with a lot of different people from different backgrounds. I feel like that was what was my mentor.
Oh, that's cool. I am curious about that. What kind of reception you got when you first started doing this? Because, I've obviously talked to a lot of female musicians or women in the music scene in general who will talk about, being condescended to or mistaken for a musician's girlfriend when they're walking in with their guitar or whatever. So when you were young and green and going up to people and, having these conversations, were people warm and receptive to you, or were they kind of like, go away, kid, or whatever? What was the vibe?
I feel like a lot of people were warm and receptive. I was actually really honored and touched. Like I didn't necessarily feel like it all happened as a surprise. I pretty much woke up one day to like a million friend requests and like, just from a video that got circulated, and I didn't really expect any of that to happen. And of course, there's always mean comments. I've been kicked out of my own shows. I've been definitely talked down to at music gear shops. Like someone told me that I needed to remember to plug in for the amp to work, and I was like, okay.
You got kicked out. Even I know that, and I don't play guitar. I know you need to plug in unless it's an unplugged show. You got kicked out of your own show. What, they thought you weren't you?
They thought I was just like maybe a girlfriend hanging out, or like someone who was just looking to meet the band, which is really funny because I played on stage. Yeah, it's just, okay, like a thing that happens still is like I write the music and for the band, and I like know how it's supposed to sound, but like I still get sound people not talking to me at all and just assuming that I'm like a merch person, and then just talking to someone else in my band, and then they'll defer the sound person to me because they're like, well, she's the one who you would need to talk to. So yeah, little things like that. I would say I think it's improving. I think through representation, through awareness, I think nowadays that's just like gonna slowly fade into the past, which I'm stoked on.
Yeah, I'm glad. I was about to ask you if you think things have improved during the time that you've been in the scene. What advice would you give from your experience to female musicians who are getting that kind of treatment, whether it's at Guitar Center, a gig, even, just sort of someone on social media? Like there was a story, I'm trying to remember which artist it was, but I really wish I might have been Japanese Breakfast. There was some artists where like a guy like mansplained her own song to her. Like he
Oh
actually like
yeah.
sent her a Facebook message being like, oh, I really like the song, but you know what would have been better about it if you did this? And she's like, really? Okay. Like, what is your general advice for like when, yeah, you kind of get dismissed that way, for other musicians who, are younger and less known than you, who, haven't achieved the level of respect and celebrity that you are at?
It's funny that sort of explaining thing happens to me every day, like through
Really?
DMs. Yeah, it's like to me, it's just hilarious to me now because it's just like not even just like it doesn't gender aside doesn't matter. Like you're someone making music, someone making an art form. It's like it's kind of hubris to assume that like you're gonna by telling them what they should make, they're gonna like take your advice and change their whole career like based off of what you need, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Like
re-release that. So you're right. I'm gonna
yeah,
take that song off Spotify and
yeah,
put it back up with your suggestions.
it's just like
Great.
a weird attitude and entitlement to have. But I guess advice. I'm still working on this. You know, I wasn't particularly outspoken growing up
Mm,
for a variety of reasons, just like mostly cultural, you know. And I feel like one of the biggest skills that I've learned in this industry and this field is being more assertive and being really direct about what I want and not, you know, kind of skirting around corners to try to get my point across. There's been so many times where in the past, when I was younger, I was kind of steamrolled over for
mm.
certain things I wanted, even though I'm the person making it, I know what I want. But, you know, I think people who maybe are older or maybe feel like entitled to opinion will always try to tell you how to do your own art form. So I would say, um, don't be afraid to stick up for your creative decisions. Don't
Mm.
be afraid to stick up for your decisions if you have a strong vision. Um, I will say also, everyone's going to be a critic of you no matter what. And if you end up curating what you do to other people's opinions and what they want, then you're going to end up super burnt out. And the only way I stay passionate about what I do is to tune everything out. Like the praise, the criticism, all of that. I feel like praise can feed my ego and make me stop growing. I feel like criticism can wear me down and make me feel really cynical about people. And I think this
Mm.
it's like a slippery slope in both directions. So I remember I started playing guitar for myself. I started playing guitar because it was an outlet for me and it literally saved my life in a lot of ways. So it's sacred to me like that. And I feel like in order to stay on my path, I'm just gonna like focus on what excites me about it and not feel pressure to like curate my image or what I'm making to anyone.
Do you mind me asking, when you say that playing music literally saved your life, do you mind elaborating what you mean by that?
Yeah, so I actually picked up guitar mostly when I was hospitalized. I don't know if I should put like a trigger warning or something, but I was hospitalized with anorexia.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
Um,
didn't know that.
it's okay. It was from actually being in the cutthroat classical world. I feel like it was just a lot of pressure, and it was also academically a lot was demanded out of me. I don't feel like I particularly had like a normal childhood, so it's like I was definitely like working all the time, and there was a lot of pressure for a kid,
Mm.
and ultimately being forced to try to fit in another person's mold didn't really work, and I got sick from it and hospitalized. My heart stopped working because I was definitely very emaciated. So at the time, I started really diving back into drawing, painting, and I started playing acoustic guitar and writing lyrics and writing songs. And I feel like that was just such an empowering thing for me. And when I say self worth earlier, it was more like, you know, when you have an eating disorder, you become fixated on your external
Hmm.
appearance and you become fixated on like having a certain body and what you look like. And you know, all of this is going to fade. But one thing I know I'm going to have forever is my mind and what I do with my hands. And to me, I felt like that was just an eye opener for me. And it's been my rock ever since.
That's amazing. I'm so glad you had that outlet. I hope you don't mind me asking this, but I have talked to a lot of other women for when I've been doing these She Rocks interviews, just about how the scrutiny women have in on their looks when they're musicians, what they wear on stage, what they look, the troll comments. As
Yeah.
someone who might be especially vulnerable to that, putting yourself in the public eye, being on stage, doing videos, photo shoots, like with your background with an eating disorder, how do you navigate that and not let that get to you and not let it re-trigger something?
Yeah, it's definitely people have definitely made comments whenever I've like put on weight or something, being like, you're like prettier when you were like, yeah, it's stupid. It just goes back to you just can't listen to any of that and just try not to read any of it. I definitely make a conscious effort to not get consumed by what other people are saying about me. Um, and I would also, I guess the biggest pressure I actually felt was for a while, I was afraid to show my face, and I was afraid to have like just anything about me in the video frame, because I didn't want people to talk about the fact that I was a girl, and I didn't want people to talk, like I wanted the music to speak for itself. I didn't
Yeah.
want people to be like, whoa, like pretty girl, like of course the video is going to get a lot, like I think that's is stupid how women are made to feel ashamed of looking fabulous. Like it's like why not, you know?
Yeah, but it's damned if you do, if you glam it up, people will, you know, make comments about that. But if you just wear a t-shirt and jeans, it'll be like, why are you just wearing t-shirt and jeans? Why don't you put on some makeup? Why don't you, like, you know, it seems like whatever you do as a woman, how you present yourself, someone's going to have a problem with it.
Oh yeah, and it's like, of course, everyone wants to look good. I personally, as someone who works in art, who loves fashion and stuff, I'm all for helping people find like their best, highest self, and like to feel empowered by how they dress, how they do their makeup, how they do their hair. Like I think it's so important for people to explore that part of themselves. And when you look good and you feel good, you're also gonna play good on stage. So I think it's stupid that people make it a big deal and try to discount someone's ability just because they happen to be looking nice. So that was something I had to overcome, was I really did feel afraid to put my face online and to be like open with myself in that way, even though it was a huge part of what I'm passionate about too. And I think throughout the years I was like, you know what, anyone who's gonna say that is just missing the point of everything. And it goes back to, I'm just not gonna care about what they're saying. I'm just gonna be unapologetically myself, and hopefully the people who understand that will stay with me on this journey. And if not, that's okay. There's a lot of other music to consume.
Well, the journey's been going really well for you. So I want to wrap up by saying you did start this for yourself, for fun, for therapeutic reasons, but obviously it's become a really successful career for you now, and you're getting a She Rocks Award honor. Congratulations again for that. Was there a moment where you felt like you'd made it or arrived or realized like this is working, this is a career?
I would say, I guess there's two ways to approach that question. The first of which is the first time we were able to do a tour and actually break even and successfully complete it. We didn't even break even. We like actually were able to make money from it. That felt really good. And I was astonished because I had no idea that people would actually come to our shows. It was like a big question mark. It was our first tour ever. So that was amazing. And then personally, I, as someone who just really loves songwriting, and views it as an outlet, as an escape, as a way to actually help other people, I feel like I feel successful as a songwriter and a guitar player when the vision that I have when I make the song, like every song starts to me kind of thinking of a person or a place or a character or a mood, and trying to elicit that mood through instrumental music. And I feel personally successful when someone comes up to me after show and they're like, that song reminded me of, you know, a, a evil king, or like a crazy cave, a crazy sparkly crystal cave. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. So creatively, that's when I feel like I've succeeded, is when the vision or the feeling that I had when I was writing the song translates to the audience.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on all your success. Thank you for taking the time during your busy schedule with the tour and the rehearsing to do this interview. Congratulations on the award. Thank you also for your candor. I think a lot of people will watch this interview. It will like really resonate with them. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person at the She Rocks Awards.
Me too. Thanks so much for these amazing questions and just the opportunity to speak about any of this, really.
It was my pleasure. It was my honor. So yeah, thank you again, and stay safe out there on the road.
You too. I'll see you soon.